Hi and welcome. This is Omar and I hope you're having a good week. Today I'll show you how to create this Z-fold Manger Christmas card. This card is very easy to make and you can have a bunch of them ready in no time and the results are stunning. Start by inking your back panel. This is your card base. I used a combination of distress inks in blue tones and start it with blueprint sketch in the center of your cardstock. You can use the backdrop or the back piece of your card to make sure you're applying the colors in the right spot. Go around with some chipped sapphire, which is a darker shade of blue. You don't have to ink up all the card base because most of it will be covered with your back piece. And finally, go around with some black soot. Just ink up all the edges of your cardstock, except for the bottom one. Make sure not to move your cardstock while you're inking. You want the back of your card base to be clean and not inked up. Go back with your chipped sapphire and your blueprint sketch so you blend the colors well. Do not worry too much if they are not very well blended, because once you put the back piece, you won't notice it too much. For the stars in the sky, I used a stencil I created with some stencil material and this very inexpensive steel die I got from AliExpress. And I then applied some picket fence distress ink. This is not really a dye ink like all the distress inks. It's more of a pigment ink, and it gives good coverage and it allows for the distress ink underneath to react with the ink also, so you don't get a very opaque white. I then used some Perfect Pearls mist in the turquoise color. Be careful when you lift your cardstock so you don't get ink on the back of your cardstock. This is a great way to make your cardstock shimmer. Clean your surface with water and a paper towel before you keep working, and add some details with a white gel pen. I used a Signal Uniball white gel pen and added little dots in the center of the inked circles and stars. This will make your stars look like they are shining in the sky. You can also use your back piece to make sure you're drawing the dots in the right spots and you don't go over dots that will be covered lightly. Sometimes I'm very impatient and I use a heat tool to dry up the ink. And next, use the back piece to place your Star of Bethlehem, and using a ruler and a white gel pen. This is a finer pen, it's a jelly roll. Draw a couple of lines to the sides and up and down. Just go very light with your pen and kind of lift the pen at the end of the line so you get a finer line towards the ends. Now prepare your cutouts and remove any excess paper that might have not come off from the windows and every corner. Next, I did some calligraphy on the back piece of the cards using an oblique pen holder and some Dr. P.H. Martin's copper plate gold ink. Prepare your nib using some Windex on the tip and dry the excess. And this is a light pad. It's a very inexpensive light pad that I used with a rechargeable battery. I taped my template to the light pad, and then I taped my back piece using a piece of masking tape that I run through my hands a couple of times so it's not that sticky. put some ink on your nib and start doing your calligraphy. This is a very simple calligraphy. It's applying more pressure on every downstroke and being very light on the upstrokes. I'm starting with calligraphy, so if any of you calligraphers are noticing any mistakes, I'm sorry. I made a Spanish and an English version of the cards, so you will see next how the Spanish version was made. Sorry if my finger gets in the way. Here it says Noche de Paz, which is also kind of, it means kind of like silent night also. It has a lot of flourishes and I think it looks great. The difficult part of this calligraphy was that the paper is very textured. It's a linen texture, so sometimes the point of the nib got caught on the texture, and it was kind of difficult to write, but it came out good in the end. And finally, start assembling your card. Because they were small and thin pieces of paper, I used a spray adhesive. I held my cutout with with tweezers, and then placed the back piece. Align the bottom corners of your pieces and press, and there you have it. It's very easy to make. For the center piece of your card, make sure you fold the tabs, the gluing tabs. Just follow the small cut lines that will guide you where to fold. Fold them to the front so you don't get any glue on the tabs. Apply some glue on the back and align your reinforcement or back piece. Align the bottom corners. Make sure the camels are in the right place and press. And finally, attach the back piece to its shadow. Align the bottom corners. Now with cutting machines, with cutting plotters, you always get kind of those jagged edges, especially on the small corners and closed angles. So what I found is that if you use an embossing machine, this is a combination. I use an A and a B plate, an embossing mat, and then place my die cut first, facing down, running it through the embossing machine. All those corners get flattened out, and once you've done that, turn it around, place it on top of your embossing mat facing up, and run it again through your die cut machine. This way you will get a sort of a steel die cutting look. All the corners are flattened out, and you get a nice debossed effect on the back. Here you can see the camels that also have very closed angles and sharp corners. Run it through your die cut machine facing your embossing mat, first, then turn it around, run it through your die cut machine facing up, and here you see all those small corners flattened out, and a nice debossed effect on the back. Now this is where you will notice the effect the best, because it has so many little windows and small stairs and small angles. And once you run it through your die cut machine, you will see the effect that you get. It's very flat, no points sticking out, and it looks kind of like it was made with a steel die. It's a shame that the back of this card will be glued to the backdrop, to the card base, because the effect that you get on the back is very beautiful. Now if you want to go the extra mile with this card or with this back piece, just make a frame. I have found using an embossing buddy helps eliminate some of the static that you get on your embossing plates. And run it through your die cut machine one more time, and you get a nice frame around your calligraphy. Now we're almost ready to start assembling the card. So gather all 3 pieces, fold the gluing tab on the left to the back of the card, and glue it to the back piece. Make sure the bottom edges are aligned, and do the same with the front piece. I like to use sewing clips to hold it together and let it dry for a couple of seconds. Remove the sewing clips and finish up your edges. Because there are cutting lines that will guide you through the folding, you will have to use a bone folder to kind of burnish the edge. This will flatten out the cardstock on the folds, leaving you a clean fold. I also used a darker colored cardstock for the shadow pieces. You can leave the cardstock or the card as it is, without the background. And I think the darker cardstock looks better if you are going to leave the card without the background. The light gray, I think, shows better against the darker background than this kind of dark lavender color. I used a glue pen to glue my Z-fold to the background. Align the bottom edges of the card and the card base, the background that you inked up, so your card lays flat when you open it. Here you can see the back of the card that is very clean, so you can write your message on. Using a corner chomper, I trimmed the corners, the top corners of the card. Here is the finished card. It's opened, and you can use it also as decoration because it stands on itself. And you can also lay it flat and put it inside an A2 size envelope so you can mail it. Here's how I mailed mine using a wax seal. All the products I used are linked in the video description below, along with some more information and the link to the blog post where you can download the file to make it yourself. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I hope you make it yourself. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up if you like it, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Bye bye.